Hello, welcome. This is Say a Prayer, guys. May Nigeria never happen to you on YouTube and live on TikTok via Nostalgia Media. My name is Richie Adewusi. Thank you for being here. Okay. Today in history, it's a very important day for Nigeria and the peoples of Nigeria. Today is the 12th of June, 2026. June 12th, as is known in Nigeria history and political, socio-political annals, is a day for what has been, well, confirmed eventually last year by the head of state at that period, eventually as his book was presented publicly in February of last year, General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, confirming finally, eventually, belatedly, that it's indeed was Bashar MKO Abiola that won that election that was conducted on the 12th of June, 1993. You can see how far it is. I'm still stuck in the 2020, whatever. 1993. That's a long time ago. But events of that long time ago, I don't know if anyone has noticed, is gradually crept, not creeping back, it has crept back. Maybe surreptitiously initially, but now it's in plain sight. Incidentally, the people in government now in Nigeria were among those that are at the forefront of Abacha must go. Babangida must go before Abacha must go. The June 12th crisis and protests for which many Nigerians lost their lives, even at that time. So this issue of blood spilling in Nigeria has been endemic. And ultimately, the winner of that election ultimately paid with his life. Bashar MKO Abiola. So if you just been hearing about June 12th, June 12th, June 12th, and you just get on with your life, it's just another public holiday, it's important that you know your history. And so that you are aware of that, how that same history might just be playing out in plain sight in your very before. As Chief Zabudaya Korigo, alias 430 of Masquerade, happy birthday to him. It was his birthday some days ago. Big shout out to him. Today in history, again, so that we don't get lost in this. And because today we are discussing unity as our main issue area. And underneath that, we are saying live and let live. We are featuring one of Nigeria's great in terms of high life music creatives, Chief Oliver Diko, in that iconic sound, Bri Kambiri, live and let live. That is one thing that has, remained lacking in socio-cultural, socio-political, socio-economic relationships in Nigeria. It's been my way or the highway. Winner takes all. It's either we or nobody. That hasn't helped. So in this program today, I'm going to take you way back and then bring you right to right now. So you could see why you must not be neutral, why you must be heard, why you must engage, why you must organize, why you must mobilize. Okay? It's important, very important. You know, somehow I just happen to be at certain places at certain points in time when you could say some historical events or pronunciations get made. If you, not few now, it's over 10 years now, it's about 10, 12 years now. During a celebration in Nigeria again of a day like this, June 12th, in Ado-Ekiti, southwest Nigeria. The government of Ekiti State then set out to celebrate June 12th with a lecture, a symposium, you know, in a hall in Ado-Ekiti, I think it was the Trade Fair Complex. And I was there. The guest speaker that day, and I sat in the midst of who was who from across the southwest of Nigeria at that time, and some from outside of the southwest. The guest speaker that day was the former governor of Ondo State, the late former governor of Ondo State. As he gave his lecture or speech, I was taking notes. He got to a point I stopped taking notes because I'm like, wait a minute, did he say that? But he did say that. For anyone who was in that hall who will remember, the Senate leader right now, Okoyemi Bamidele, was one of those in that hall that day, and several. And by the way, happy birthday to the wife of former governor of Ekiti State, Erelu Bisifayan. It was her birthday yesterday. She was in that hall too that day. Of course, it goes without saying that the governor of the state, Dr. Fayemi, was in the hall himself and members of his cabinet. So this fellow he wasn't the governor then, he was still practicing his law, was still having his law practice in Ibadan at that time. He wasn't the governor yet. And he goes on to say that he called General Olusegun Obasanjo, not late, sorry, he's alive, very much alive. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo, a nobody. That was the point at which I stopped taking any notes about anything he was saying. Excuse me? A nobody in what sense? A nobody that he became a president and was not playing the tribal game. A nobody that he chose to be a president for and of Nigeria and not a Yoruba president and not an Igbo president, not a Hausa or Fulani or whatever ethnic or other ethnic nationalities president in Nigeria. He chose to be president of and for Nigeria and Nigerians and peoples of Nigeria, if you like. And for that, a personage of that stature. Even at the time, he was not a president, a governor. His law practice in Ibadan wasn't small. His socio-political links, influences, and was not that small. And you are there in an event that took place in a city, a town in the southwest of Nigeria, and you call one of the greatest leaders from the south of west of Nigeria nobody. Fast forward to today. By the way, it didn't end there. It didn't end there. At the end of the event, I made sure I met him. I walked up to him as he was about to get into his car. I offered him a copy, an autographed copy of this book. Just let's forget. I gave him a copy. And I said, sir, what exactly did you mean by saying that? I said, don't worry, if you want us to discuss that. He gave me his card. I should come to his chambers in Ibadan. I'm like, are you for it? Come and do what? I didn't go. At that same event, I also gave some copies of this book to the present Senate leader, Okoyemi Bamidele. We happen to be from the same town in Ekiti. It happens to be from the same quarter. In terms of tradition and all of that, it's my subject. Fast forward to today. How many Yoruba leaders have stood up to speak out against the complete failure of the present president of Nigeria and his administration in this one and the most important task and duty and function of governance, protection of life and properties. Those who are not looking for ways to excuse and defend have gone completely mute, deaf and dumb. But late Governor Akeredolu could call General Obasanjo a nobody in a lecture, not in a side beer parlor amongst friends discussion. No, as part of a lecture he was delivering. It's on record. So that's how much hypocrisy has hurt Nigeria and keeps hurting Nigeria till now. But we're here on this program. I will open the history books to come to tell you why this moment is very important. I've been on it. Look, I started this podcast and live stream in August of last year. I've said it severally on this program that at the point I'm like, why am I even budging? But I feel burdened because you can't have witnessed so much, you can't have seen so much and keep quiet. I've never held any, I've said it so many times, I've never held any public office except in school in Nigeria. But I've been around. I've been in places where decisions are being taken. I will always say my bit, like I'm saying here. not abusing anybody, but then we must, Nigeria, the peoples of Nigeria must tell the peoples of Nigeria the truth, must speak to power, must speak the truth at all times. At times I've talked about some of my friends and it looks like you can't do that. Talked about some of my family members like ritual. No, we can't, you should not, you must not. And that's why I doff my hat. I'm not wearing it now for Senator Adams Oshomele. I will come to him. I'm not his fan again. And incidentally, he said, this book is very important. This book is so important. I picked up the issue of Senator Adams Oshomele. Okay, when they formed the now, I don't know what adjective to use to qualify Labour Party, when they formed it initially, and they didn't have a presidential candidate. They didn't present a presidential candidate. And Adams Oshomele was at the zenith of his power and popularity as the NLC president. Instead of contesting under Labour. He abandoned the Labour Party, and went to contest for the governorship of Edo State under, I think it was AC or ACN. So these things are not to be. And they are the ones who are there now deciding, how do you expect anything to change or be better? But I said, I will come back to Senator Adams Oshomele at the appropriate time of the program. I just needed to give you an introduction to that. But right now, you saw some, my bosses at the technical there showed you some pictures at the beginning. There's so much hypocrisy. There's so much double standard. There's so much unfairness. There's so much divisive tactics, posturing, behavior, and acts that have not and will not do Nigeria and the peoples of Nigeria any good if they are not taken care of. And right now, Providence, I've been saying it. My issue about Peter Obi and Senator Rabiu Mustapha Kwanso is, or the NDC that you see, I don't belong to any party, I repeat. But then, when Providence provides you with an escape route from something, grab it. That's the issue. That's their issue right now. And I will bring this whole podcast to that point eventually. But let's go back a little bit. So you know that the issues that have engulfed Nigeria now didn't start today. They are contrived. They are not organic. They've been sustained by contrivances. But there's a genesis. We are talking unity. We are talking live and let live. The video I'm going to play you now, we played it more than once in the course of this podcast and live stream. I'm not playing it. I need to put this caveat up front here. I don't have any hatred issues, any anger issues about anybody. I've moved on. And unfortunately, a whole lot of the people who are impacted by what was said in that video eventually created have moved on. But at every turn, they keep getting reminded. Like, I, for one, I moved on. I was having a discussion with one of my cousins who lives in the US, you know, and at some point he said maybe he was not Nigerian enough. I say you are even more Nigerian than you think or ready to admit. Why? Because some of the things we believe, some of the things we say have been framed by the narratives we have heard over time, by our fathers, grandfathers, great-grandfathers who have remained rascally in their parochial, bigoted, you know, mindsets. And the video I'm going to play for you now is as conk as it can get in terms of parochialism and bigotry. That has not helped Nigeria. So I'm not playing in that off. There's no other word to use to replace parochialism or bigotry. No, they were there. And you can't, I didn't help him to make that video. I didn't write his speech for him. I was born. Yes, yes, 1964, I was born. Yes. But I didn't know what was going on. And I didn't see that video. Listen, so that you get this right. I didn't know about that video. In spite of all my learnings and all of that, I didn't know about that video till about 10 years ago. So it's not to say that maybe it has formed or informed my behavior or my reactions to anything in any way. No, but it's historical. So if you want to know how Nigeria arrived at where it is now, you cannot be talking about just now. You have to dig a little bit back and now. It's only when you're able to address those issues from yesterday that you can be actually be saying to yourself, please, let's not go this way again, which is why, again, I wrote this book. That's why it keeps being behind me here. I repeat again, that's the reason for which, in the first place, I am here and I'm not in Nigeria. Yes. I will play you a video. You've seen it before. If you have not seen it, oh, sorry, we are going to see it now. Of Sir Ahmadu Bello in an interview. Now, who was Sir Ahmadu Bello? Let's get this straight. In 1964, Sir Ahmadu Bello was probably, arguably, the most powerful politician in Nigeria. With his NPC. The Prime Minister of Nigeria, Sir Tafawa Balewa, was in his party, the NPC. The NPC controlled the whole of the North. Last episode or 2 episodes ago, we showed you the result, I think it was 2 episodes ago, of the election of 1959, which brought them to power, which is at the root of the crisis that have remained in Nigeria till today. I will prove it to you in this live stream, in this podcast. Why am I saying that's at the root of it? The election of 1959 provided what could have Nigeria gotten Nigeria to actually transition to be called Nigerians, and to now that fervor of patriotism to say we're citizens, Nigerian citizens and all of that. The chance for it to have happened for that nomenclature, and not just in name, but in spirit to have evolved, was lost. Why? That election, 1959, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe's NCNC is historical. Won more votes in Lagos than Chief Obafemi Awolowo's AG. one seat in the southwest, substantial seats in the southwest, and of course one, well, the east. Chief Awolowo also won some, the AG also won some seats in the east, and actually also won some seats in what was known then as the north, which was actually from the north central now, middle belt now, that he won those seats from. But then that was to the chagrin of the NPC and Sir Ahmadu Bello, who want to, till today, they want to keep the northern part of Nigeria as a block. Not for the benefit of the people, no, but for just control. You will get to see how that trickled down to January 15, 1966. Listen. So, an Igbo man, like they thought, not a Nigerian. Please get this narrative right. Has it changed? Has it changed? Oh, an Igbo man was about to also control the Southwest. They are controlling, he's controlling the South, he's one in the Southeast. We're talking about the president, Nigeria, somebody who can rule Nigeria. And you are putting it down to, he's from here, he's not from here. It didn't start today. So, Chief Obafemi Awolowo's AG was far from getting close to anything to say form government. But the NCNC was tops, even above the NPC. The NPC only won the elections, the votes from seats, parliamentary seats from the north only. Not a single seat in the west, not a single seat in the east or midwest. And then in order to, if you have to rule the country, there were provisions of, number of seats you need to have. In any country, you have to have majority. How do you get majority from one region? And that is what is shaping up now. Now, just hold up. So what then happened? The tribal card was played by Chief Obafemi Awolowo and his AG group members. How can you be there? And how can you? These were Yorubas, Southwesterners, who were members of NCNC. They were members of a political party. They were happy. They campaigned with NCNC. They won their seats with NCNC. And you now go back to them to say, how can you be supporting an Igbo man? It's an Igbo. Has it changed? Has it changed? Are you guys learning anything? And all of the people of Southwestern extraction or Southwest extraction who were members of the NCNC, who had won their seats through the NCNC, both from Lagos and the rest of the Southwest, crossed in one night over and became and declared decamped to AG. And suddenly, NCNC was left like fish out of water. Yet, Zik, in his nationalistic, worldview of Pan-Africanism, Nigerianness, and all that, still went ahead to collaborate with the NPC of Sir Ahmadu Bello and Tafawa Balewa, which gave them, of course, the number of seats that they needed to form a government. Zik did not, these narratives have been put, and people don't get things, especially in this day and age when you can at least help yourself read. Stop listening to them say, is it not those Igbos? No. But even at that, remember, NCNC is now a partner in partnership with the NPC. And they don't have any seats anymore in the Southwest. Neither did the NPC have any seats in the Southwest. What did the Sardana do? Remember again, I'm giving you a background to the events that are taking place before he made the statement that you are going to hear in the video that I'm going to play for you. In 1964, all of these shenanigans were happening in 1959, 1960, and that culminated in Chief Obafemi Awolowo being tried for treason, being sent to prison for treason, 1962. So as at the time Ahmadu Bello was granting that interview, Chief Awolowo was in prison, in Calabar prison. He was they wanted him to be sent to prison in the north. He was the same Nnamdi Azikiwe, the same Igbo man that said no. Why would he go to 10? Of course, he was president, ceremonially, if you like. Instead of sending Chief Awolowo to a prison in the north, Nnamdi Kanu is where now, a prison in the north. Everybody kept quiet. He's there in the north. For doing what? We'll come to that. MPC and NCNC teaming up. Remember, all of that happened after an election. After an election, seats have been won. But betrayal started. But one group still said, let's look for how we can manage this situation. Zeke went, not for himself, not let's keep this union going. But the NPC was not satisfied. The West was not part of that. Even when they could form a government, they still wanted a control of the country. What is Tinubu doing today? I've said severally that Tinubu is just doing the same thing that Ahmadu Bello did, but in a reverse fashion, but for his own benefit. Ahmadu Bello didn't do whatever, rightly or wrongly, for his individualistic benefit. No. It's really for the benefit of the North. Tinubu is not doing anything he's doing now for the benefit of the Southwest. No. Instead, he's attracting hatred that's not going to end to the Southwest that are not in any way beneficiaries of anything he's doing. So let's stay focused on Ahmadu Bello, the NPC, the NCNC, that eventually now, because Chief Obafemi also wanted to, contest at the national level, maybe get to become the prime minister. The Sardana did not want to be prime minister. He knew he had more influence and more power, but he put his person to be prime minister. He remained the Lord and Master of the North, but he wanted to be Lord and Master of Nigeria. So what did he do? Chief Obafemi Awolowo had vacated his leadership of the Western region and got his deputy to become premier of the Western region, Saladuki Akintola. The NPC infected Chief Akintola. He rebelled against his boss, Chief Awolowo. eventually, it wasn't one day, eventually formed his own political party. They expelled him, from the AG. He formed his own political party. That led to so many crazy things, and eventually state of emergency in the Southwest region. It's loading up now. It's loading up now. I told you guys about 6, 7 episodes ago that watch the Southwest as the elections draw closer. What's happening? Whatever led to what became this Biafra war started from the Southwest of Nigeria. It's loading up again. You see that abduction in Oyo? Eh? I don't think it was just happenstance. You see, the declaration of present governor of Oyo State for contesting the presidency in 2027, just, in your mind's eye, just begin to see another Akintola. And now, Tinubu, the Awolowo, okay, the rebellion. Akintola, now the governor of same Oyo State, same Western region, okay? Because I'm sure that Makinde knows he wouldn't win presidency, but he's there to be used by the highest bidder, who certainly not APC. You get it? Yeah, he knows what he's doing, but he's a politician. Just like Akintola was a politician, rebelled against his boss. And then there was heavy crisis in the Southwest that led to what is known today as the wet thing, where people were sprayed with acid and petrol or whatever on the streets. Buildings, property, lives and property. What's happening now? What's happening now is more sinister, actually. But then what's happening now is crisis. It's like the lack of safety for life and property of the peoples of Nigeria. That time, it was maybe, okay, isolated to middle belt, some of the areas in the middle belt, now the TV areas, and then the Southwest. Is it the same thing now? No, they're spread. But the Southwest still hold the matchbox for that big bang to happen. In the midst of all of those crises, all of this happening, now I have my own party. Now Chief Awolowo, who is Awolowo, I'm now fraternizing, Chief Akintola fraternizing with Sadana and the NPC and all of that, to the chagrin of the AG people. With a Sadana that at that point felt, I own Nigeria, I can say anything I like. He now gave this interview in 1964. Listen to him again. I'll come back to it. We analyze what he said there. In case you heard it the first time, sorry, you're going to hear it again. In case you've not heard it before, you're hearing it now. After playing it, we'll come back to look at the issues raised in those few minutes. That the issues still haunting Nigeria till today. Issues for which Providence has provided you guys with an opportunity for settlement, for healing, for getting started afresh, upfront, not after the election. The collaborations now, the associations now are happening upfront before the election. It will be disastrous for all the shenanigans that are going on, that have been going on to disrupt it. Nadeko and June 12 issues will be small to what is loading up. It's not me. It's there for any right-thinking person to see. People have made several, we played videos of people saying here what is loading up, not me. I can see it. I've seen it since. I saw it before I wrote this book 16 years ago. I keep pointing to go and read it. Not just so that you buy my book and yes, please buy, you support me, but read it. You need to have an understanding of issues. Because I didn't just tell, so that you understand this, I didn't just tell the story of my eyewitness account about that war as a child. But then again, I also ran commentaries about socio-political, like socio-cultural issues that have bedeviled Nigeria from the time, okay, sorry, up until the time I wrote this book in 2010. From the 1970, that war was supposed to have ended. It hasn't. You're only deceiving, you know, it hasn't ended. Not just against before he was against the Igbos, now he's against everybody. It hasn't ended. State failure has now brought other non-state actors to take advantage of, you know, the parochialism and the bigotry. And then all Nigerians have become game in the insecurity that has. Now, let's listen to Sir Ahmadu Bello.
One thing I've noticed, Premier, while I've been here, is that Northerners seem to have, I might almost call it, obsession about the Igbos. Could you perhaps explain that to me?
Well, the Igbos are more or less the type of people whose desire is mainly to dominate everybody. If they go to a village, to a town, they want to monopolize everything in that area. If you put them in a labor camp as a laborer, within a year they will try to emerge as headman of that camp, and so on. Well, in the past, our people were not alive to their responsibilities, because you can see from our northernization policy that in 1952, when I came here, there weren't 10 northerners in our civil service here. Then I tried to have it northernized, and now all important posts are being held by northerners.
Is this policy of filling all key posts in the north solely with northerners and not with other Nigerians a temporary or permanent one?
In actual fact, what it is a northerner first. If you can't get a northerner, then we take an expatriate like yourself on contract. If we can't, then we can employ another Nigerian, but on contract too. This is going to be permanent, I should say, as far as I can foresee, because it will be rather dangerous to see the number of boys who are now turning from all our learning institutions coming out with having no work to do. I'm sure whichever government of the day might be, it will feel rather embarrassed, and it might even lead to bloodshed.
Doesn't this damage the idea, sir, of all people in all regions in Nigeria being fellow citizens of one country?
Well, it might, but you are, new to our region, but how many northerners are employed in the east or in the west? The answer is no. And if there may be 10 laborers employed only in the two regions.
You had that video one more time. If this is if this isn't your first time of hearing it, but if this is your first time you heard it, like I said, we haven't played that video again out of any kind of bitterness, out of any kind of, hatred. No. So that you know your history, so that you know where your problem started. Today, you are talking about leaders who are not accountable, leaders who don't have the capacity to perform, leaders who don't. People cannot give what they don't have. But there was somebody, 1964 to this time is how many years ago? That was 2 years before the Civil War. Picked out a particular people in Nigeria to say that they are the problem. Why? Because they are productive. Why? Because they show leadership qualities. Why? Because they're entrepreneurial. Why? Because they are not subservient. Because you can't dominate them. Because you. And this was a feudal kind of lord. So who only he want to hear sit down there and you sit down there. The average Igbo person doesn't sit down there, you sit down there. You don't have to explain why and have an understanding of timelines and all of that and the reasons and the benefits of that sit down there. Yeah, sure. I know, because that's who I am. You ask me to do this, I would ask you. I used to tell housekeepers in those days, one came one day and said, sir, I'm resigning. I'm like, what did we do anything wrong? Have you not been paid or what? He said, no, sir, no, sir, not all of that. You guys are wonderful, but she started crying. She said, why? Your son, what did he do to you? I said, no, he didn't. He asked too many questions. Oh, that's a problem. I reminded, as I told you, when they were to employ you and I had to have a chat with them. I said, okay, you see my son, please. When he asks one question and you answer it, please be ready for 5 more to you probe. This lady left. He resigned. He said, no, I can't. Oh, yeah. So that's who we are. We interrogate things. You have to understand things. That shouldn't be a problem. Samadu Bello is saying that because whenever an Igbo comes, even if it's in a work group, they want to be leaders. What exactly is wrong with that if it is following due process? You want to bring somebody who doesn't have the foggiest idea of what is happening there, who just want to carry the shovel and just keep tilling the ground. I don't even know the reason for which he's tilling the place. What has the outcome been? What has the outcome been? Remember, as at the time he granted that interview, Chief Awolowo was already in prison. The Southwest was already boiling. Just simmering, okay? Not boiling yet, it was just simmering to now boil. They were tweaking things, getting Chief Akintola to, rebel, be himself, don't be an ally in the Southwest against Southwestern interests. What is happening today? What is happening today? The people who abducted the children and the teachers, which is not, it's not as if those children are the only children that are in abduction, that are in captivity throughout Nigeria, including those who are in IDP camps. They shouldn't be in IDP camps. So when you are marching and requesting bring them home, you should be including the fact that IDP camps should close all over Nigeria. Those Nigerians or those peoples of Nigeria that are in those IDP camps, they have communities where they have come from. What has happened in those places? Those places have been occupied by strangers, by foreigners, as like been said. That singular interview created a master-servant scenario in Nigeria. Because what Sir Ahmadu Bello said in that interview became a national policy. It wasn't now a northernization alone. No, it became a process now. A northerner was the prime minister. So development, and where is the development in the north? Where is it today? Where is it? Whose fault? Certainly, Ahmadu Bello didn't envisage, the results that are there today. He probably meant well, but selfishly, for one part of the country, while the opportunity was there, to create a country, to create citizens of a country, to make people develop that patriotic fervor for their country. So you now have a leader, a national leader, like I've said, arguably the most powerful leader in Nigeria at that time, telling you that other people from Nigeria who are not Northerners are second-class citizens when it comes to appointments, and that went into federal issues. So I want you to link that to the events of January 1966. And the immediate aftermath of January 15, 1966 with General Agui. It wasn't only just, we are not going to employ people that will be on contracts, will only be Northerners, that will be in the service or public service of the North, providing services, and they follow through. And historically, you will see the heads of institutions, if they don't find, they go and hire foreigners. But like he said, if they can't find them, they will get a Southerner on contract in the same country. The same country. What difference should it make? You're employing, why should you have double standards, double employment standards? I'm coming. It didn't end there. Some people carried that vision from that interview forward. It became national policy, leading up to the Civil War, even after the Civil War. And now, Providence is giving Nigeria and the peoples of Nigeria an opportunity to right all those wrongs gradually, with the emergence of this partnership before an election between Peter Obi and Musa Akwankwanso. Yes. It's a get out of jail free card for both the party in power now and the rest of the peoples of Nigeria. But let me not jump too far ahead. What has insecurity got to do in all of this? What has religion got to do in all of this? So that was a person who was the most powerful person in Nigeria, had pocketed. They always pocket everything and believe that they are God now. Nothing else can touch them. Yes, the present people that are now did the same way. General Abacha did the same thing. But he didn't put God in the equation of what could happen. The person there now has pocketed everything and still believing. Everybody is talking on your mandate. You are talking on your mandate for an election that has not held. You are talking he has 8 years. Those 8 years, are you not supposed to earn it? Are you not supposed to go to the polls and people vote for you? Is it automatic? You don't perform and then you must have 8 years? No. This is a period for Nigeria to press the reset button peacefully through the ballot for any right-thinking person. You see all the alignment and realignment that happened after the 1959 election. It was after the election. People, the treacheries, the betrayals, and all of that happened after the election. Now there are the betrayal that are happening or whatever is the present party in power and the present president in power manipulating systems and peoples and groups to favor him to the detriment of the unity that he's supposed to be building. He is not. Ahmadu Bello had the opportunity. Then he did not build. He focused on controlling, subjugating. Did it work? No. It led to a civil war eventually. The other issue here then was the rumor that there was a planned jihad that actually had a date that the intelligent people had known, said 17th of January 1966 that a jihad was going. 1966 jihad. Some people said, oh, it was a lie. It's not true. It's not. I would like to, I'm going to play a video for you now of Elder, well, till he died, we didn't know which was his correct military rank, whether he was colonel or general or brigadier, or he died. Let's call him Elder Ben Bulli at the Oputa panel. And by the way, who set the Oputa panel up? General Gowon. Sorry, General Obasanjo, President Obasanjo as a civilian president. General Gowon, that is wanting to tell you people now, who says to keep Nigeria one is it? You didn't keep Nigeria one anything. If anything, General Gowon is responsible for breaking Nigeria up, is responsible for the mess that Nigeria is in now in its entirety. Yes, he still had a chance. You see, people have opportunities, people are missing. The people who conducted that 1966 coup, one of their reasons was that they said it was to prevent a rumored coup. Well, let's call it rumor. But is it, sorry, a rumored jihad. Is it still rumor today? Has the issue of that jihad gone away even today? What's happening in Nigeria today? What's the essence of conducting a jihad? To enshrine Sharia, nationalism. Has it changed? So how much of that issue is rumor? Don't take my word for it. I want you to hear Captain Ben Bulli. Yeah, I was Captain of Major. I think it was Ben Major. I did. Well, Elder Ben Bulli, the late Elder Ben Bulli. Okay, I want you to hear him.
Yes. He said something about some arms and ammunition having been smuggled into the country through the northern border, solely for the purpose of prosecuting the said jihad. Do I start? Go on. Okay. Then, by way of buttressing this rumor, he further hinted that the brigade camp RSM, Ambrose Chukwu, had lately been arrested and imprisoned on the orders of the brigade commander, Brigadier S.L. Ademolegun.
Good, sir. Go to page 40.
Page 40. Yes.
Second paragraph.
As it turned out, is it?
Yes.
As it turned out, not only was I able to verify the story, the camp RSM, this is the...
Go on.
The camp RSM was eventually found...
I also learned...
No, I want to...
No, just I said read that paragraph.
Okay, I also learned that through the grapevine, that some Arab soldiers in Mufti were already infiltrating into the country on the invitation of the Northern Regional Premier.
Go on.
Do you want me to continue?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The jihad many an officer feared was soon to become a military fact.
Go on.
And their fears could not be dismissed out of hand as completely groundless, especially when viewed in the light of the many secret nocturnal meetings held at the Premier's residence at Ngwanshino, meetings with meetings which the names Ademolegu Akintola, Mai Malare, Ahmad Bello and Ahmad Bello had long been closely associated.
So the Arab story you heard from the grapevine.
Yes.
Go to the paragraph which starts with indeed.
Indeed, many officers feared the worst, more so as the news of the latest postings of some of our top commanders reached us from Lagos. The GOC, General Aguirosi, and Igbo, was to go on indefinite leave at the behest of the Defense Ministry. Lieutenant Colonel Hilary Njoko, another Igbo, was to relinquish the command of the 2nd Battalion, based at Ikeja near Lagos, to Lieutenant Colonel Yakubu Gawan, a northerner from Pangshin, and proceed to Kaduna to take over the command of NMTC. It was evident that by this arrangement, the southern command of the Nigerian army was to fall almost entirely into the hands of the NPC. What with Brigadier Zach Mamalari, a northerner, commanding the Lagos-based 2nd Brigade, Lieutenant Colonel Yakubu Gawan presiding over the said 2nd Battalion at Ikeja, and Lieutenant Colonel Lajima, also a northerner, commanding the Ibadan-based battalion.
If you can stop there, what was the source of this information?
Everybody heard about it.
I didn't. Maybe I was in.
You couldn't. You weren't born.
Yeah,
were you?
so I was trying to understand. No, I was born.
Everybody heard about it.
This event.
Even it's chronicled in the book you are holding there.
So that is not a rumor. That was not a grapevine for a change.
I said I had it from the grapevine.
Good.
But now it's been confirmed.
By you?
No, from the write-ups I have seen. Yes.
You see, thank God for the Okuta panel. Thank God for General Obasanjo. President. Why do I keep saying it? Please, it's not dying. It's not going anywhere yet. Thank God for former President Olusegun Obasanjo for setting up the Okuta panel, which, by the way, General Gowon refused to, appear. And even went ahead, it's on record that he said he doesn't even know why Nigeria is participating, as if the panel was not in Nigeria, was not in, so he didn't even know why Nigeria was participating. So who was conducting the the reconciliation, program, which was what it was supposed to be? The person who wants to tell you today, I'm saying I didn't, they were shooting palm trees, did not show up at the Okuta panel. And you had Elder Bembule here now. Yes, there were rumors, said grapevine, about the jihad. It didn't end there. And it was also said that some foreigners were imported, that were in Mufti. Can you hear that? Excuse me. This is 2026, 60 years after. Are there some people who are terrorizing Nigeria today, holding Nigerians captive, asking for ransom all over the place? That, by the way, it's on record. It's on record by an APC chieftain, Kawu Baraje, that it's on record that they brought in Fulanis from other countries to come to help them win the 2015 election. They paid them, and after the election, they tried to ask them to leave, and they refused leaving. They are the ones today who have created the scenario that had encouraged other criminals, yes, to join in this huge industry of banditry now, kidnapping and ransom demands. 1966, 2026, 60 years ago, politicians imported foreigners. Has it stopped? Which group is responsible for that? Not any southern group. Please don't misunderstand me. I'm not interested in the northern, southern. No, no, no. But then you must say who has done what. You must be able to put things squarely where they belong. Has the attempt to Islamize Nigeria stopped? No. If the abductors and kidnappers and terrorists that still have those children in Oyo State are demanding that the Oyo State government should make Sharia law part of their bylaws of the states, that clerics had declared that if their people they will be trouble if it doesn't happen. Plain sight. Gumi, that held meetings with them in Oyo before all of this is happening, is walking around free. Kawu Baraje, that declared it, that this is what they did, is walking free. They brought them in, you armed them to fight against Nigeria. What is the result? The Nigerian military had been so weakened, made to look so ineffective. I said made to look. The Nigerian military is not ineffective. It's not weak. But politicians have, through parochialism and bigotry and selfishness, really, using those terms, the parochialism and bigotry, as backdrops. But meanwhile, no, 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 no. They are not for those things, actually. No, it's gains, economic gains, monetary gains. Well, I will put it, I don't deal with the said, no, it's record, it's history. So, what was alleged in 1966, which Elder Bembulie wrote in his book, by the way. That incident, that narrative is in his book, that he was meant to read, that he was asked to read portions from the same book that had been photocopied and given to him with highlighted portions for him to read, because he saw it on the video. The issues he raised, have they gone away? It was alleged, Grapevine, 1966. By the time of the Oputa panel, which was 2001, this is 2026. That's 25 years ago. It's now in full bloom. Importation of terrorists. Forced activation of Sharia law to be integrated in bylaws. And by the way, we go back still. For you to see if those could be happening, you know, in the public glare, what about the things that were happening behind the scene to bring all of this to be? There's no greater place that happened in. And there's no greater time that it eventually was like a fate that was like accomplished. There's nothing you can do about it. Outside of, wait for 1999. What happened in 1999? General Abacha that I thought he had pocketed Nigeria. Well, whether it was Apple or tea or heart attack, the DSS director has written a book to say, no, it's not Apple, it's not tea. That believes he had a heart attack. Well, whichever one it was. Obviously, people keep not putting God, in the equation when they are maltreating other people, when they're planning to dominate other people. But in that confusion of General Abacha's death, that short period of General Abu Salam holding forth before the 1999 coming to power of General Obasanjo, magic. In that confusion, a constitution was formulated, what you now call the 1999 Constitution, which enshrined Sharia in the Constitution without input from the peoples of Nigeria. So you cannot talk of peace in Nigeria. You cannot talk about living in unity, in having unity in Nigeria, if that constitution is not repealed and reviewed to reflect it as the constitution of a secular state. This can happen because the people who are doing what they are doing have the educated ones among them. They are screaming. There was a time that there was a statement credited to have been made by the Sultan of Sokoto and said those who are saying so cannot be done, they should go to court. Maybe when they go, of course, he knows that when they go to court, they say, okay, go to the constitution. You go to the constitution, it is there. Yes, they are that confident. What exactly are you planning to gain? You fought a civil war already. People died. Both sides. There are more from the part of the Easterners. But people died on both sides. At least Nigerian soldiers, Nigerian troops died. June 12th, people died. All of that, even when Chief Abiola was a Muslim, even when Ambassador Kingibe was a Muslim, Nigerians didn't care. I've said it several years that Nigerians don't want to know what anybody, they just want the right things done. But you are not focusing on doing the right things. You're focusing on control, on domination, on subjugation. No. Luckily for the peoples of Nigeria, and unluckily for you guys that are manipulating a group of Nigerians have done now what I said was in this book. That was the issue. I said it there, quoting Peter Tosh's song, everyone wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. Before now, Nigerians were afraid to die. Right now, your children, your grandchildren are not afraid to die anymore. Thankfully. They are not afraid to die anymore. And don't blame anybody. Don't think anybody is paying them. Nobody is paying them. They have woken up. They've given you people enough chance. They believed you. They've trusted you in that African tradition, in that cultural way of respect elders. The elders have failed woefully from all sides. The children have seen it. Your grandchildren have, your great-grandchildren have seen it, that you have failed. So they have taken up. It will be it will be a disaster if you think this is a joke. If you think this is something you are going to force them to arrest. How old is Nnamdi Kanu? So you understand where I'm going. And then the people who are on the streets now are younger than him. And they are not from one tribe. So don't get it twisted. They are not from one religion. Don't get it twisted. So there is now that opportunity, that atmosphere for the people that could eventually be called Nigerians, for the people that could eventually evolve to be called Nigerian citizens, for the evolution of a country now called Nigeria as a country belonging to Nigerians. Don't bungle this opportunity. Don't mess it up. Don't mess it up. Don't politic around it. See the handwriting on the wall. So much so that even the leader of the NDC party now has been infected by the same virus now, that he's now speaking as if he's now competing with his presidential candidate and his vice presidential candidate. But a party leader cannot sell his candidates, cannot sell his party, cannot point out during an interview of about an hour what the present administration is doing, which his party is. He was mute. He was there grumbling like a child that took away his sweet. You can see the scripts. Maybe even he didn't think that what is on ground now or abroad in the air now was possible. Believe it's possible. Nigerian children, Nigerian youth are not playing. They're not playing. And I've been praying, I've been waiting for this time, for them to wake up. They're not waiting for you anymore. Now, you put him in jail. Now you have even gone to go and ask for, I understand, that the Nigerian government is asking. Who is the Nigerian government that is asking for death penalty for Nnamdi Kanu? Gumi is working freely. Igboho is there campaigning for you. Maybe if Nnamdi Kanu says now, okay, I will support you, then he will come out. Then he will no longer be. You've not still learned. Listen, why did I go back to all of those times? All of those times people have said they have pocketed Nigeria and the peoples of Nigeria. It has never worked. It will never work. I repeat, Providence is given the opportunity now for the organic evolution of the Nigerian state, of Nigerian country, owned by the peoples of Nigeria. That they say, okay, now this is sort. The emergence of rulers, leaders, organically, that will be there on merit, on competence, on issues of accountability. I'm not just talking about Peter Obi or Dr. Kwanse Nailo. No, they will attract their likes to come. And then Nigeria would have been on its way to evolving, to developing. That's the point. They're just catalysts. They're not going to, and like I said, this collaboration, this partnership is happening before an election. It is not the shuffling afterwards that's okay, join us so that we can form a government. No, no, no. And this is why we continue to say on this program, if that election of next year, 2027, ever holds, there needs to be a referendum included on the ballot of how the peoples of Nigeria want to live and relate with themselves. Before January 1966, the regions were there. One of the crimes that General Hironsi was supposed to have committed was that he followed the military pattern of top to bottom, obey the last order, to say now, okay, for administrative purposes and all of that, public services and all of that will not be centralized. That was part of what was said. When Gowon took over, okay, that he also called himself Supreme Leader. When Gowon took over, what happened? Gowon retained the title of Supreme Leader. Gowon did not return, okay, public service to regions. He did not do that. Listen, okay? Even when they agreed that they should go back to the regions, including the military and all of that, so that people could function from that basis, who broke it? Gowon and the people who were advising him. Some of the people who now got to be known in Nigeria as super palm sex. People like Philip Absiodu and the rest of them. Don't agree. Oil. And Nigeria has not recovered from that. Nigeria is being given an opportunity. Nigeria and the peoples of Nigeria has been given an opportunity to, heal. If you ask him, I keep saying healing. Somebody will say, what does it, this healing? The killings didn't start today. General Gowon wanted to make it go away. The BBC releases wanted to make it. And that is why I have said, please, guys, support me. Please, donate to the GoFundMe campaign to produce this book as a documentary, in pictures, to include the stories of other survivors and victims of that unfortunate and largely avoidable war. Another one is loading up, whether you see it or like to say it or not. That's your head. You can use sellotape, tip your mouth. It's loading up. It doesn't need to happen. It's avoidable. But from all people have been talking. I read the former INEC, Jega, and some other people within that period are cautioning that Nigeria is advancing towards very dangerous. It's not advancing. It is inside that dangerous time period now. It is. Because one person wants to remain. You want to remain after do what? You won't do campaign. You won't conduct election. What are you going to campaign with? What are you telling Nigerians is the reason for which they should need to vote you again? What's the reason? No. What are you going to say? This is the reason for which you need to vote me to come back. The most basic of tasks of governments or governance, you failed. Protection of life and property. Insane environments, you would have been impeached. All the state governors in all of those states where those banditry and terrorism would have been impeached. But what is happening? You have assemblies who are defending indicted persons that have been invited for questioning, covering up and say, don't talk. Don't worry, I'll get to Oshomole and the NNPC. You're going to borrow how much? They're asking somebody to come and account for 210 trillion naira. 210 trillion naira. How much is your government going to borrow? For which you pay interest again. Not you. You are not even going to. You are using how much to service the debts you already have. You cannot hold people accountable for monies and then you leave the guy and he's roaming and Oshomole is talking and his mouth is smelling. Abi? But let's not get ahead of ourselves, like I said. I've talked so much about healing. So healing from what? I want you to hear the traditional ruler. He spoke in Igbo, in that language, but sorry, in the video you're going to watch next. And after it, I will maybe do my best to try to let you know what he's saying. Meanwhile, General Gowon came to wrote in his book, gave interviews that's in the public domain, that his troops were shooting at palm trees. I have shown you, I have shown you evidence of how I was impacted by those bullets that were shot at palm trees, of why palm trees came to be in the equation of even any conversation about the Civil War. I told you, if you weren't part of that, please go to our YouTube channel. May Nigeria Never Happen to You. Watch the last two episodes. You will find my story about a relationship with palm trees and this mark here and other ones in my head. But I want you to hear another elderly person, a traditional ruler, narrates his experience in Asaba. Let's play that video, guys. Asaba, present-day Delta State of Nigeria. Let's play that video, guys, please.
1970, anyị bịa ka anyị jee zụta ndị agha Nigeria. bịa bụla egwu anya mara na ọ bụ a game of death ka ịba n'ime ya nọ na iluzi wagadazi anyị n'ebu bịa singula ụmụ nwoke niile out ụmụ nwanyị bịa this side ọgịka anyị ga-afụzi the open fire kpakpakpakpakpakpakpa wee welugo machine gun gahube our people and they were slaughtered in thousands. Anyị nwa abụzi ndị nwe ike ịgbapụni bụ ndị ozu dakpudo n'azụ obero n'ebe a so nke a na-ekwu ife a ofu onye afụ m si mbanye na moto abanye na moto amụrụ na o nwekwa another killing field ndị CMS n'ogbo Sowe abịa n'ebe ọ na-ene ụmụ nwoke ka wajukwa ụmụ nwoke anyị wabịasị anyị gwa grave wabịasị anyị face ya the grave wasị anyị start saying your prayer ekpele ka m na-ekpezi with other people one Land Rover land ya ọ bụrụ Bab Ali my classmate na New Better College Onitsha ọfụzi
you could just imagine what will make an elderly person like that to be that emotional. The incident he was narrating is what happened in Asaba, 1967. The federal troops had entered the town, asked all the inhabitants to assemble in an open place, separated the men from the women, and they gathered, with dances and all of that, hoping they were coming to welcome the federal troops, not knowing that that was to be their last dances and singing. And the federal troops opened fire, massacred the men on that field. And that traditional ruler, that elder that was taken, and said the only thing that saved him was that, well, he was among those that some dead bodies fell on and covered somehow. But later, when they saw he was alive, they asked him to get up and get into a vehicle. And he was driven to another site. That's a similar thing that happened, and that the graves had been dug and they were lined up. Those of them who survived the first one lined up facing the grave and asked to say their last prayers. But that, according to him, that luckily a vehicle arrived, and fortunately for him, one of the occupants of that vehicle happened to have been his schoolmate in a secondary school, who recognized him, and then that was how he survived. The short palm trees. We are talking peace. We are talking live and let live. What did those people do? Were they combatant? Oh, okay, maybe they are Nzogu's kinsmen, so they had to be given special treatment. How much of special treatment have Agu Ironsi's family gone to the north to give to the families of T.Y. Danjuma, Yakubu Gowon, Murtala Muhammad, and the rest that killed him, that slaughtered other army officers of Eastern Nigeria origin? So when people continue to narrate this same, is the life of one person, I'm not supporting killing of any type, but is the life of one person worth more than the life of any other person? You slaughtered all of those soldiers. You still went slaughtering civilians. Civilians are still being slaughtered because you have an agenda. Look, the same way the Igbo said, no, this is not going to continue, and that war resulted. You see, in this book again, I said it 16 years ago, that if ever we, the political class in Nigeria get greedy and continue in this parochialism, what's going to happen next is not going to be that any particular group will fight it. No, be everybody fighting everybody. Is that loading up now? Is that the reality on ground now? Yes, it is. Because the children, our grandchildren, your great-grandchildren that have mobilized now, that are saying now, Tinubu must go, or this must not happen, bring them home, or whatever. Davido went to play on the world stage, went to perform on the world stage, carried Nigeria on his whole person. Yet, the ones supposed leaders of Nigeria don't care. A young man that was going to come and perform, collect your money. Oh, it's not him. I have a pain inside of me that the world should know about. Meanwhile, the people in Nigeria are trying to hide what is happening in Nigeria. Don't report confrontation with bandits anymore, with terrorists anymore. It's embarrassing the president. Some people have even gone ahead to say that Davido went to go embarrass Nigeria. What do you mean went to embarrass Nigeria? Has Nigeria not embarrassed itself? Is Nigeria not embarrassing itself? The killing of innocent people have not ceased. Out of hatred, out of bigotry, out of parochialism, hasn't ceased. One of the narratives I had to remove from this book, that people were, some of the consultants who worked on the manuscript when before it was published, if it's now, I won't remove them, was what we witnessed as children at that same Umoba railway station. You would ask me why am I going back into it? Because you need to go back into that to know how you arrived here, and to have an understanding that the things that are happening now are still being perpetrated with the same mindset, but people with a different generation, within a different age group, but then following a written script from that time, before that time to now. Train lot arrived. Go to the station slowly before it stopped. We had bodies, limbless bodies, limbs in the train, in the carriages. In the goods carriages loaded in the headless bodies arriving from the north of Igbos that have been slaughtered in the north and loaded in the train and sent down south. The people who edited my book have been saying, please, is it possible? This is too gory. I'm like, I wish I didn't listen to them. Why? I wasn't trying to fan up any sentiment. I'm just describing what happened and what I had to see as a child that no child should see. But today, children are in captivity, being made to see what they should not, and there's a president, and there's a government. I'm not talking about in Oyo alone. In the different places where children have been abducted, some have been released, some will never be found again. Some have been sold into slavery, some have been converted into wives by force, some have had children in captivity. And that's supposed to be normal. Providence is giving Nigerians an opportunity. I want to play us our in-house video at this time. Then, when we return, I'll play a video of the people that Providence has provided for Nigeria and the peoples of Nigeria at this time to sensibly transition from disunity to unity, transition from crisis to peace, from anarchy to order, from consumption to productivity, from lack of accountability to accountability. Okay, let's play our in-house video first. We'll come back and we'll play you that other video.
Nigeria has never truly answered the question of what it is. And until it does, every attempt to secure it, develop it, or unite it will keep running into the same brick wall. This is episode 6 of the quest for a safe Nigeria. Please subscribe and turn on notifications right now so you never miss a video in this series. Nigeria has basically been running a military government since January 15, 1966. Leaders continue to pass decrees and make decisions without involving the people those decisions get to affect the most. The 1999 constitution mentions only one religion by name, and was handed to civilians without real involvement of the peoples of Nigeria. Captain Ben Bullier, one of the participants of the January 1966 coup, later stated at the Oputa panel that one of the reasons for the coup was to prevent a jihad that he said was planned for January 17, 1966. The seeds of Nigeria's division were being planted, even before it could become a country that her inhabitants could genuinely call themselves citizens, from over 60 years ago. Who are those responsible for creating divisions in Nigeria? Anyone who uses religion, ethnicity, or regional identity as a tool for political entitlement rather than personal conviction. The peoples of Nigeria are supposed to be free to practice whatever faith they choose or hold, but that freedom ends where imposition begins. Elsewhere in the world, there are examples where governance and civic responsibility take preeminence over parochialism and bigotry. For instance, in the province of Quebec in Canada, the provincial government passed legislation stopping religious expression in public spaces because state neutrality was being eroded. Nigeria needs to intentionally work at stopping the false entitlement mentality that is at the root of its dysfunction and bring back meritocracy. The peoples of Nigeria need to use empathy, hospitality, care for the needy and a sense of mutual respect and tolerance to promote their faith. Not coercion or violence. Isaac Adaka Burra declared the Niger Delta Republic, was sentenced to death, and was subsequently pardoned and released. Asari Dokubo declared war on the Nigerian state and lives freely. Sheikh Gumi negotiates and campaigns openly on behalf of bandits and terrorists. These men are free, so why is Nnamdi Kanu still in jail? His continued imprisonment is not justice. It is a message that is dividing Nigeria further. Banditry and terrorism are now a huge industry in Nigeria. Communities have been so completely disrupted and vulnerable that criminal enterprise seems to have become an irresistible economy available to desperate men. People are dying and being taken daily. Disunity is at an all-time high in Nigeria. Before politicians found the language for it, Nigerian musicians were already singing about the Nigeria that could exist. Music has historically been one of the strongest catalysts for unity, in Nigeria and worldwide. One of the musicians who helped make that happen was Chief Oliver de Kock, born Oliver Sunday Aconite on April 14, 1947 in Ezinifite, Anambra State, southeast Nigeria. Oliver de Kock was one of Nigeria's most prolific highlife musicians, a guitarist and composer whose career spanned 4 decades. His song Biri Ka Mbiri, which translates as "Live and Let Live," preaches peace in place of violence, disunity and anarchy. Oliver de Kock lived through Nigeria's most turbulent decades but still chose to sing about peaceful coexistence. The question is why Nigeria's political class has never been willing to match what its musicians have always known. Hardly in Nigeria's history have so many Nigerians felt this unified around a political moment. Perhaps the closest was around Chief MKO Abiola in 1993. The beginning of healing is a shared vision for solving shared problems, and that vision is forming. Mr. Peter Obi is bringing Nigerian youths together across ethnic and religious lines in ways not seen in generations. When Nigerians vote for evidently capable leaders in 2027, a restructuring referendum must be on that same ballot, giving every Nigerian a direct voice on returning this country to regions, which would allow groups of people to practice what is best for them without imposing those practices on other groups. That seems to be the best solution for the issue of disunity. Our full live stream goes much deeper on all of these. Watch it at May Nigeria Never Happened to You on YouTube and bring your questions. Thank you for watching. Please share this video with everyone you know with interest in Nigeria's development and well-being. Please subscribe and turn on notifications so you do not miss the next video. May Nigeria happen for all Nigerians and for friends of Nigeria.
Thank you for watching our in-house video. Okay, one key thing I want to bring up from that video is this whole talk about a death sentence for Nnamdi Kanu. You see, the Nigerian government erred in going to Kenya to go and abduct, kidnap this guy and brought him to Nigeria. You ended up making him a hero by doing that. Okay? You've gone through, we've said it, if you did anything, well, you ended up putting him in jail. And now, by confirming that hero status, you see, this talk about a death sentence, I don't know whose idea it is. So, yes, of course, after all, you assassinated, executed Kensaro Wiwa and say nothing happened. This one is different. Nnamdi Kanu is not just speaking for Igbos. No, it's not a symbol. It's a symbol, okay? Like I've said, I am not his fan. I don't like his approach, this talking, but what is he talking about? I also showed you a video here in about 2 podcasts or 2 live streams ago of Nnamdi Kanu, the Nigerian, the person who had this patriotic way. This protest must be until he got disillusioned. Just like many youths are disillusioned today. Killing Nnamdi Kanu would create 1 million more Nnamdi Kanus. It's not me saying it. You can see it already. I'm not even talking among the Igbos. The same way, people are trying to, paint Peter Obi as an Igbo candidate, Igbo press. No, forget it. That guy is not interested in whether he is. Of course, all of you, the person who is there now, is it not Yoruba? The person who was before him, was it not Fulani? So somebody must come from somewhere. It can't be amorphous. This is your opportunity to go for measurable, benchmarks for governance, development, and humanity. Peter Obi, and this partnership with Dr. Kwakwanso could not have come at a better time to give Nigeria and Nigerians a chance at forging ahead in unity. Yes, to create that thing that has been lacking in Nigerianness, in Nigerian spirit, Nigerian citizenship, not just people living in Nigeria and functioning in Nigeria. And of course, when they say, where do you come from? Nigeria. Yes, of course, you're from Nigeria. But do you feel? I did. General Obasanjo does, Peter Obi does, Dr. Kwakwanso does. And it would be a dangerous fallacy for anybody to believe that there's any group in Nigeria who can dominate the other groups. No. Partnership, collaboration, agreements, negotiations are the only things that can prevent. Once again, Google, go and find out a country called Yugoslavia. Go and look for where that country is today. For that one country, I think you have about 7 or 8 countries now, countries from Yugoslavia. And it didn't happen with clear eye. They fought a bitter civil war. I should say bitter civil wars before that happened. Must Nigeria go that way? No, it doesn't have to. This is an opportunity. Even the government in power should see that and conduct free and fair and credible election. Let the people vote who they want to vote. If you don't win, bow out. This is a time for you not to go and tell them that reason for which they should vote for you. And let them be the ones to decide. Let them decide. If you think you're going to manipulate it this time, I don't think so. I think it will be very dangerous. I think so. I think so. Nigerian youths have woken up. They have decided we die here. That's what I see. I don't know if you see it. Okay. I'm going to play you a video now by Peter Obi himself, talking about his partnership with Dr. Rabiu Musa Kwakwanso, why he believes what they have in common, what they can work together from what they have, from the perspective of what they have in common. Let's listen to Peter Obi.
I said it the day I nominated Senator Rabiu Kwakwanso that we're going to be partners. We're going to work to build that new Nigeria that is possible. Senator Kwakwanso and I have similarities. Number one, he believes in pulling the poor out of poverty. He believes that a child of nobody can be somebody. That we have very similar belief. He believes in the most critical investment requires for development, education. That again, we have similar belief. He believes in that you have to create a healthy society. There's no other thing you need for development. When you invest in education, invest in health, and put people out of poverty, the country will develop. And I think we'll work together to achieve that. We'll work together for a new Nigeria. I believe that my number one priority is to unite the country. We will unite the country because we are coming from what you can call a background that will energize the poor, energize the masses that are uncared for today. Both of us, him from the north, me from the south, to say, let's build this new Nigeria. A Nigeria where tribe, ethnicity, religion will not be the issue. The issue will be about the welfare of the people, the education of the people, the health of the people. That's the Nigeria we want.
Well, you had Mr. Peter Obi. That is not someone who is interested in parochialism and any ideas in bigotry, no. Focus on development, focus on humanity, focus on unity. Unity. Because without unity, Nigeria is not going anywhere. That's the fact of the matter. Without unity, Nigeria is, without a leader that can unify, the person that is there, I've said it before, until he became the governor of Lagos State, nobody knew where anybody came from, really. They are the ones who started playing the politics of you are not from Lagos. Is he from Lagos? His wife from Lagos? There are videos online about his wife telling the Igbos that they would drive them to where they come from. Where did they come from? That's Nigeria. The Nigerian Constitution says you can build anywhere, you can live anywhere. Meanwhile, if we really talk about who the real Lagosians are, they are in the backs, they have been pushed backwards. Is Tinubu a Lagosian? No. Is his wife a Lagosian? No. No. What makes Tinubu a Lagosian is what makes Peter Obi a Lagosian, what makes Kwakwanso a Lagosian, what makes Atiku Abubakar a Lagosian. Same thing. They are not from Lagos. They are not indigenes of Lagos. But they have pocketed Lagos. And now he's trying to now pocket Nigeria. It can't work. It's not possible. The people who wanted to pocket Nigeria that I've shown you in history didn't succeed, haven't succeeded. Now you now want to do the same thing that they failed to do, and they are now telling you you can't. So, you see, you know, let's say Yoruba, you say thunder will help the bomb to scatter everywhere. Yep. But what corruption is Peter will be talking about of changing culture? I will play another video of a young woman. She had just mixed some things up, mentioned that Akpabio was governor of Akwa Ibom State at a particular year. She missed the year, you know, but then that's about the only thing in that video. But I am bringing her up to show you the age of Nigeria that are beginning to reason and joining the dots. You would ignore them at your own risk. They have woken up. They are asking the questions now. They are not afraid to die. They are not. You can arrest, how many will be arrested? You can shoot, how many do? We have nations in history that have tried it. Philippines is there. There are so many others. In recent times, Hungary, Viktor Orban was so powerful man, strong man of, where is he today? We need to learn. You need to think Nigeria first now and help Nigeria to transition to the next administration peacefully, and help Nigeria to transition to regional governance, which is what will settle this whole issues. Yes. The hatred is so too much. I don't share in that hatred in any way. If you follow this series, this podcast from inception, I shared my experiences during youth service. I attended the University of Lagos for my first degree. I will repeat for those of you, you can go and watch, but I will summarize. When it came to time to go for youth service, I was posted to the old Sokoto State, 1985. People say, go and change it. No, I'm like, luckily for me, my father had worked in Sokoto State with the late Professor Oluke Ransom Kuti when he was developing the primary healthcare system. When they were doing research to what led to that healthcare, you know, structure now, or practice, or structure, you know, whichever one you might like. And my dad said, no, don't worry. The only problem is, said the people are wonderful, but then it's the heat and the flies and through flies and heat. Yes, people were wonderful. I shared how I had the brainwave to, you know, conduct Miss NYSC Sokoto. In Sokoto, 1985. Yes. A beauty pageant. How Alhaji Ibrahim Idris, former Kogi State governor, sponsored, almost single-handedly sponsored that event. I met him. That's how I met him. How some of us couldn't stay. I'm not indicting him, but I mentioned it here. My brother and friend, Tony Elumelu, was with us that camp. He didn't stay. He changed his service location from away from Sokoto. He did. From orientation camp. Like I said, I'm not indicting him. No, it was his choice. But he got transferred to some other place. I can't remember where he eventually served, but from orientation, he didn't serve with us. So, I've narrated how I served. I was a teacher. I was an English language and English literature teacher at Sultan Abubakar College, Ahmadu Bello Way. Yeah. Just close to Ibro's Hotel that time. We're still close. Sultan Abubakar should still be there. The college. I also narrated how today there's a local government in Katsina State called Matazu local government. I also shared how within that same period I met Alhaji Matazu, who was then the regional marketing manager for the NTC. How because of that passion, we went to them for sponsorship too. And of course, they sponsored, they supported cigarettes and things that I don't smoke. They began to supply me with rolls of cigarette every month. All my friends who smoke would generally come to visit me about those times to get free cigarettes. I never sold any because I don't smoke, so why would I sell? They would always come and take, yeah. Alhaji Matazu, because of that relation, I'm telling you the reasons for which I was never brought up to hate, to discriminate. No, I met people who took me for who I am, not took me because of things they saw I could do. Till today, people who relate to me because of things they know I can take care of. Yes. So I have no reason to hate or no. I shared then in the episode on the NYSC back, I think around October or September last year, that episode, if you go to the channel, you find the episode on the NYSC. How Alhaji Matazu eventually said, Adeusi, I'm going to do you a favor today. I was expecting him to give me money. I was a copper. How much was our allowance that time? 200 naira for a month. Yes. But it was a lot of money, 200 naira in 1985, 1986. Alhaji Matazu said, I started teaching his children. One young man, one young boy, young girl. His first son at that time was already at the Polytechnic, Kaduna Polytechnic. Then this day he said he was going to do me an honor, which I thought he was going to bring out his suitcase and say, yeah. Of course, there was stipend he was paying me for teaching his children. But when he drove me to his house in Sokoto GRA that time, it happened to be that his wife, who I had never met, who always prepared the fura de nono I would be served as I arrived each day to teach the children. The first thing Alhaji Matazu asked me was, they would say, have you ever wondered who makes the fura that you drink and want to take home when you are going? I said, no, it's okay, don't worry. He now spoke. Somebody went and brought somebody in hijab, covered, veiled. And he said, well, I'm going to do today what we do to only those we respect and value as close friends and associates. For me, young youth copper was my business. He was still grammar. I didn't know where he was. And then he went ahead to unveil his wife. we unveiled the person that was in that veil, under the veil and the hijab. And I saw a very, very beautiful African woman, still looking as if she hadn't even given birth. Meanwhile, her son was at Napoli. These other two I'm teaching are her children. And then the husband, Alhaji Matazu, went ahead to say, okay, she's requesting if you could also teach her English like you're teaching the children. I'm like, yes, why not? That is the Nigeria I know. That's the unity that Nigeria, the peoples of Nigeria need. He didn't say because I'm a Christian or because I'm from the South, or because, no. We're related with that family till I finished your service and left Sokoto. Alhaji Matazu, I think, eventually ended up in the National Assembly. That was the last, link or last time I heard about him. I don't really know anything after that. But those children should either be in the assembly to themselves now or business of the other. That's in Nigeria, I know. My parents didn't bring me up in hatred. Even in spite of all the losses my mother went through in the course of the Civil War. My mother, his relations, they moved on. Even when after the war, they talked about the 3R, reconciliation, reconstruction, and whatever the other R is. But it was all a lie. No place in that theater of war benefited from any reconstruction or anything. Instead, Lagos was being constructed. The money that was raised for that, reconstructing the damaged portions of the eastern region that was the theater of that war, well diverted to developing Lagos. It didn't end there. Easterners who were public servants, including Cyprian Ekwensi, there are videos on him online selling plastics to survive after the Civil War. The same Gowon administration promulgated decree number 46. Go and check to find out what decree number 46 was about. People of Eastern extraction could not get back to the Federal Civil Service and get back to whatever they are, whatever. They had to go down several steps to start. It took Obasanjo, it took 40 years. 40 years for Obasanjo to reverse that, to cancel that decree in 2000. When I've said to you that Obasanjo was not president of Yoruba, or he was a Nigerian president. And for me, Obasanjo is probably the only truly patriotic leader that Nigeria has had after Nnamdi Azikiwe. Today, he still speaks out. People tell him, you that didn't even support Yoruba. So people must support. If Nigeria does not break away from, which is what these young people are putting forward now. They're not relating on Igbo, Yoruba, Hausa, Christian, Muslim. No, they are. Unfortunately, incidentally, isn't it an irony of life? It is the incompetence of the government that have united them. They are looking for competence. They're looking for safety, for security, for productivity, for job, for economic growth, for value to life, for humane policies and practices, and a society and humane leadership. PW is talking about combating corruption. There's a war raging on in the Senate right now, Senate leadership, about a certain 210 trillion from NNPC and all of that. Okay? Don't take my word. There are the reports for it. If my guys can, they will show you so that you know I'm not the one making it up. Senator Shomole saying that former NNPC head must come and account, and they are dodging and they are covering up and they are shielding and they are defending. And now what is being said out there now is what Oshomole said, not what the issues are. And somebody is saying, no, stop. What we have here to do is the illegal arrest warrant. Why would somebody 210 trillion naira and you won't arrest the person that refused to come by himself to give account? And then it's Oshomole. I've already said it to you here. I'm not his fan, okay? Because we had his chance also to play a bigger leadership role before now. He chickened out, thought about only himself to become a governor, a different party, and then he's been watching after himself, Thank God that he has woken up now. He now is standing on the side of speaking to power, asking for accountability. Yes, I clap for him now. Yes. You cannot say because this is who we are, this is what I support, if they are doing wrong, you remain there. No, no. So I clap for Senator Shomole in that regard. But there's a young Nigerian. I'm laughing. Yes, they are watching you. They have watched you yourself. They've sifted you. They have sifted you. So they weighed you into bags and packaged you. He sat down and reminded Ribadu who he was, the people he called corrupt, most corrupt, and he said, "Will they prosecute?" All of them are in that Senate now. All of them are in Asurok and in Senate. And he himself, Ribadu, another person they tried to threaten to say, he said what this lady now, what this young lady is now saying in this video. The same woman who we showed you the video that went to meet Tinubu in London, that he gave an appointment and the woman declined to say, what plan do you have for the North? And Tinubu said, no, he's afraid of being killed because he'll step on toes. And part of not stepping on toes is making the person who called you the most corrupt person. How do you run a government like that? Buaya, the other one, ambassador, whatever. People that documented, even your aviation minister, people that documented, even some of them took you to court. You've drowned them or silenced them by bribing them, by settling them. No, Nigerian children don't want settled anymore. That's why this one is reminding you, reminding the Ribadu himself. And all the other ones that were mentioned as the most corrupt, they are all in the Senate. So let's watch, let's hear this, so that you know that they have sense. Your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, yes, they have sense. They are woken up. It's only you that's still sleeping. Let's hear that lady. Let's hear him.
Breaking news, my fellow Nigerians. In 2006, the then EFCC chairman by name Nuhu Ribadu came before the Nigerian Senate and listed 5 most corrupt governors. They include Orji Kano of Abia State, Bola Ahmed Tinubu of Lagos State, Ahmed Sani Yerima of Zamfara State, Godswill Akpabio of Akwa Ibom, George Akume of Benue State, Chimaroke Nnamani of Enugu State. In 2026, 20 years later, Orji Kano is now a senator. Bola Ahmed Tinubu is now the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Ahmed Sani Yerima is now a senator. George Akume is now a senator, appointed by Tinubu as SGF. All right. Godswill Akpabio is now your Senate President. Chimaroke Nnamani is now a senator. Then the EFCC, remember that made EFCC chairman that made the list that year, Mr. Nuhu, I don't know his name, Mr. Nuhu Rabidu, who made the list, is now Tinubu's National Security Advisor, with those he listed and alleged as worst criminals. Like, did you get that, or should I retake that again? That is the country you and I are living. Like, that is the country we are part of. That is Nigeria. Breaking.
Was she shouting? She wasn't shouting. She just gave you fact, except just that she mixed one issue of the year, the time frame that the present Senate president was the governor of Akwa Ibom State. It's not that he doesn't have any issues for which EFCC dragged him, should still drag him. The NDDC issue is still there. The time that they did the forensic audit for which Wike is now pulling Amechi, as if it's only Amechi that's the issue. Why has Wike called? Wike is a minister in this administration. Wike has called for the present administration, the present president, to make public the result of that forensic audit. No, they call the former head of NNPC to come and account for 210 trillion. No. Your children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren are woken up. That's the trouble you have, not to me. I'm not your problem. I'm only just pointing it out to you so that you know you can't sleep easy anymore. You see these ones, they don't hear come, only go. And nobody is sending them. So you don't begin to target maybe who is sponsoring. Nobody is sponsoring. Look at how calmly, no noise, no, pointed it out to you, smiling in that one room, typing on Twitter. But she is typing facts, produce it and is put it out there. She didn't abuse anybody. How do you expect change and accountability from that gang? How possible? How do you vomit and go and scoop your vomit to swallow again? That is Malam Ribadu. The most corrupt. They are the ones that you are answering to. Because you all have an agenda. He has agreed to what you want. You two have agreed to what they want. But unfortunately, the peoples of Nigeria have not agreed to what you people have agreed to. That's why you have problems. Nobody is funding them all. So stop looking stop searching. They have woken up. That's the danger. That's the danger. So at this point, I'm going to quickly take, because we have gone deep into eaten deeper into when we should have said bye-bye. Okay? But we're not going to let contributions for community members go without attention. The first one here says, the evidence is that northern elites have dominated power since 1999. So why is the North today poorer, less educated, and more violent than the South? It's unfortunate. It's painful. I have an experience of the North. I just shared a bit of it. In the spectrum of peace and security. In this same program, I've shared how we transited the old Sokoto state in the NYC Leyland truck, presenting drama skit I had written for advocacy for girl child education, stoppage of girl child marriages, and all of that. Can anybody do that now? You be pepper soup. Even now, NYC, I understand it's alleged that the NYC is saying that core members need to sign undertaking that when they are kidnapped, it's their parents that will pay ransom. Can you imagine? If that is true, I wonder why any parent would bother sending their children to go to do youth service. Because two things have happened with that, if it's true. The state has removed its hand from protection of the youth corps members. And in the same vein, endorsed kidnapping as an industry. Yes, kidnap them, go and ask their parents to pay. I don't know. I don't know why. Okay. And yet, somebody is saying I must be the president of because I'm from the North. That's why I respect Dr. Kwakwanso's. Yes, people, regions should, even if possible, maybe Nigeria should have more than one vice president at a time. Maybe they should redo that constitution. Nigeria should have more than one vice president. Yeah. Sure. The second person here said, if Biafra had won the war in 1960, do you think the average Hausa or Yoruba farmer be better off today than? You need to understand this narrative about the Biafra. The Biafrans were not fighting to occupy other parts of Nigeria. They were fighting for survival. That is the point. So let's not get it twisted. There's always this issue of why did they attack the Midwest? Why did they plan to attack? It was war. It was not a war of domination. It was not, okay, well, if they could stop it, so everybody go back to where you're supposed to be at. There's no plan, there's no historical record that they plan to invade the North. It was a seat of government that was the issue of going to Lagos to stop the war. I don't think Ojukwu at any time would this dream was wants to dominate Nigeria, wants to occupy Nigeria. No, I don't think so. And if you think I'm wrong, please state it in chat. I will take that up with you. We'll discuss it. Do you think Peter Obi would get any votes from the North if he did not have engineer? He did get the first time, the 2023, people voted for him. People believe in him. It was not about Igbo or whatever. And it's even more now. In spite of all the lies that have been told about him discriminating against people from the North and all of that. Of course, with Dr. Kwakwanso, of course, their partnership will yield a better pan-Nigerian result. Okay, yeah. Another one says here, there can never be unity in Nigeria until there is accountability for past atrocities. This is a chance. That's what my point is about this being a get-out-of jail-free card combination of Peter Obi and, yes, accountability in terms of, then there are necessary things that should have been done that have not been done. Like I've said here, the issue of the reconstruction thing, they now say they put the Southeast and you have Senate committee talking about somebody going to use 153 million to rent a one-room apartment in Abuja. It's still in the same spectrum of corruption, settling themselves and all of that. It's not in terms of real development, no. You need people to take charge, calm things down, and work at transitioning Nigeria back to regional governance. That's the only thing. Seriously, I keep saying it. Peter Obi and Dr. Kwakwanso, if they want to continue, the problem with the unitary presidential system is that it is basically a military style thing that has been instituted since July 1966. Authority, and this is what you must do. No debate, no conversation. So Nigeria just has a semblance of democracy. There's an assembly, there's a senate, and it's worse with this administration now. They do only what he wants done. It can't work. It can't work. It won't work. Okay? It won't work. What exactly caused the failure of Keep Nigeria One initiative? Because there was never a Keep Nigeria One. It was keep the geographical location one, not the people. Nobody cared, and nobody still cared. When I say nobody, the political class, the elites that don't care about the people. They care about the geographical location and the resources in the geographical location. Yes. And their foreign counterparts, the same thing. Those who supported Nigeria supported them for what they could get. Those who supported Biafra too supported them for what they could get, depending on the outcome of that conflict. Okay? So it says here, is it possible that Nigeria's unity is not as fragile as it seems, but it's been made to look fragile? It is fragile. It has been fragile. It had never been firmed up. If you listen to the beginning, from the beginning of this, discussion here, it has never been. There were opportunities for that to have happened. The earliest one was 1993, and it was scuttled again. You have another opportunity now. Peter Obi and Okwanso is another opportunity to create that unity, to forge it, to make the young people of Nigeria, even if we, including us, are giving up or have been whatever, to make them have that belief of belonging so that they can contribute. And then there's that co-ownership. Yes. If that doesn't happen, forget it. See, this whole I'm in control, you must do what I say. It hasn't ever worked. It will never work. Okay? Last one here said, can Nigeria ever become a meritocracy without first equalizing educational outcomes across the regions? You can never equalize educational outcomes. There's no society, there's no country. What you have are opportunities for people to aspire to. Look, even in the US, it's still part of what determines who gets voted into office. You hear white collared, this one and that one, you hear college, whatever. It's not everybody. It's up to you to decide to go to school or not to go to school. That's one of the things that transitioning back to regional governance will do. If you decide not to go, do whatever. And again, what is going to school? Is it the Western style education that the colonizers sold to Africans just to prepare them to work in their factories, plantations, and trade and military and all of that? Is that what education is today? No. I have friends who have refused to send their children to any formal school. They self-educate them at home. And you can do that. Yes, sure. Get them ready, prepared to sit for whatever examinations, but learn skills. Yes, learn skills. That's one of the biggest problems in Nigeria. I have people who have degrees who have no skills. So they are not employable. They are there, and then unemployment, they know what they want is that civil service that has been structured, that has been, which is what the NNPC person said, but it's you senators that send your children to be employed in NNPC. The same baked cake mentality, the same share of the national cake mentality. Meanwhile, the bakers don't exist anymore. The bakery is about to shut down. If you can't find a new management that can. What I ask anybody that's been in business, that's been in any leadership, would you hire somebody like the team that's in government now to run your company, to run your business? Would you? No, would you? I don't think so. Okay, so if we wouldn't do that for our businesses, why do we not think, for whatever reasons, we should be supporting such a team? Without any bias, it's not hatred, it's about performance. It's about the people. It's about accountability. It's about productivity. It's about transparency. It's about integrity. Okay? So I want to thank you guys so very much for, it's been a long, long day. Okay, I'm so grateful. Amy, sorry, thank you for joining on TikTok. Cheryl, Lord, thank you for joining. Thank you guys. Wow, we've taken the likes over 10K. Thank you so much. And you know, on this program, when we started, people were like, what are you saying? But now we can see it. Nigeria is happening still to Nigerians, all the peoples of Nigeria in plain sight. But I started it by telling stories of how Nigeria happened to me. And I asked you guys to pray. Say a prayer, guys. May Nigeria never happen to you. But here on this program, my prayer, our prayer has always been and has remained and would always remain, may Nigeria happen for all Nigerians and all friends of Nigeria. Yes, it's still this program We're still here every Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, US and Canada, and then 1 p.m. West Africa time, including Nigeria. My name is Richie Adewusi. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.